Nithyanandam. With all auspicious blessings and grace of my Guru, His Holiness Sri Paramahamsa Nithyananda Swamiji, I welcome you all once again to this video segment. I started this channel to share with you all how I applied my Guru's teachings in my life, which led me to live a conflict-free and gave me a strength, sort of empowered me with the faith in myself. Every human being I have come across has always wanted to have supreme confidence in everything they do. But many of us run after success for the fear of failure. We want to accumulate wealth in fear of poverty. We want to have relationships with the fear of being alone. I have seen this with the most successful people. I have not seen this thought of running behind success for the fear of failure or running behind wealth due to poverty in, let's say, the middle class people. When I say middle class, I don't mean just in the financial economical sense, but even in the way we think and the way we express. Let me say, in India we have different categories of the economically strong societies. One is the lower middle class, then the middle class, and we have the upper middle class, and of course the wealthy families. And we have another one called the influential and the wealthy families. Mostly it is in the middle class, in the upper middle class, and the so-called affluential and influential families. I have come across people who work day and night for in the fear of failure, in the fear of having to experience poverty after seeing success in their life. But the one thing I have learned when I started watching Swamiji's teachings and being around Swamiji is that we have to do what we want to do for the joy of doing, not because we have the fear of doing something or fear of failure. Many celebrities I have seen, many socially affluent and influential thinkers of the society have always had this undercurrent failure, the fear of failure as their fuel for running after work or doing work to the best of their abilities. I should want to do work to the best of my abilities because I enjoy doing it, not because, oh, if I don't do the best of my abilities, I may fail, because that is any way going to lead you to failure, if not now, in the future. I saw an interview of the Indian superstar Shah Rukh Khan, in which he had given a speech to the IIT in India. I think it was Kanpur, IIT Kanpur, where he made a statement saying that he runs after success in the fear of failure. That fear of failure is always there when you do not take responsibility for things around you or anything else or any other human being around you. Swamiji always said, taking responsibility for everything around you is living enlightenment. I have never actually understood this concept till I actually started applying it in my life. Many times I have seen, even in the newspapers, most of us read nowadays that accidents happen, murders happen in daylight, where at least 15-20 people are watching and nobody steps in to help them. If I am in the position of the crowd who's seen a murder or an accident, I have the fear that I will be pulled into some litigations which will add on to my work, which will create more chaos in me. So the fear is holding me back from getting involved in helping someone where there is a real life threat. Even as recently as 3 or 4 days ago, there was an article in the newspaper, where a person was hacked to death in broad daylight in the capital city of Delhi, where at least 25 people were standing around and watching and doing nothing to it. What happened to us as a society? How can we be so insensitive when in front of our eyes we are able to see people being hacked to death, such miseries being inflicted on another person, and we don't even have the courage to stand up for another human being, taking responsibility for another human being? I've seen it even in my pre-monastic life, I've always seen it around me, or even I have done it. As long as my house is clean, I'm fine. I don't care if my neighbor's house is not clean. I don't care if the street I'm living is not clean. I don't care for anything else. Me, my family, myself, my happiness. That was the core of my thought. I mean, the government is being paid to keep the roads clean. My neighbor has his own servants to keep his place clean. Why should I bother? If they are not bothered, why should I bother? I am paying my taxes. So the government is getting my taxes. Let them do what they're supposed to do. But then when I started listening to Swamiji's teachings, I realized that is a kind of insensitivity. Okay, the government or my neighbor could have done it, but they did not do it. Is that a reason for me not to do it? When I started thinking on these lines, if someone did not do something that they are expected to do, is there any reason for me not to do? And I realized it's not. Then we started applying this thought process of responsibility into every aspect of my life. I found it is a great liberation actually, because now you have only the 4 principles on which you need to run your life on. That's integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching. And when it comes to responsibility, how extreme I am going to go into this from the perspective of responsibility in any action I take. That is the only thing I have to think. I don't have to think about the repercussions of the action or what I may get. The fear nor the greed is going to drive me if I only cognize and act from the space of extreme responsibility. When I realized that what Swamiji had earlier said, that taking responsibility for everything around you is living enlightenment, I understood the freedom, the mental freedom we receive from it. When I am working purely from the space of highly integrated, authentic responsibility, the result of the action does not cause any fear in me, does not cause any greed in me. So, I am very clear, this is my space I am working on, whatever may be the result, I will have the strength to face it from the same space of responsibility without feeling frustrated, upset, or being victimized, or feeling, oh, I went and helped the person, now see I am in trouble. That does not happen, and that gives me a lot of liberation, lot of freedom from this nonsense that keeps going in my head, the nonsense of cluster that, oh, if I do this, this will be the reaction, and if this reaction happens, that is what is going to happen. That means for the next 5 years of my life, I might be running behind some court, some case, or someone might threaten me. It is not there, because Swamiji said each of these 4 pillars of integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching are not just a lifestyle, but they themselves are powers based on which if we act, that power itself will protect you from anything untoward happening to you, and it will give you the strength to face everything so beautifully, so blissfully, that it will not matter anything. Even if someone comes and threatens you, or even if someone comes and tries to do some harm to you, you will only laugh at it. It no longer has the impact to affect my inner space or cause me any kind of suffering. Because I applied it and I experienced it, I understood the power that responsibility has. Power does not mean that manipulating others is not power. The empowerment that it gives you, the freedom it gives you, the liberation these principles give you is the power, is what I believe in. In this book, The Living Enlightenment by His Holiness Sri Paramahamsa Nithyananda Swamiji, he has very beautifully explained how responsibility elevates you. On page 373, there is a beautiful paragraph, a cognitive shift it is called. When you take up responsibility, a cognitive shift happens in you. Your mental setup changes. Many of us live life like slaves. For example, if you work 8 hours in your office just following orders, you will automatically feel dull, tired, frustrated, and being forced to do something which you really don't enjoy doing. But whereas, if you take up the lead and take the responsibility for every action of yours which will lead you to success, you feel a kind of joy, a kind of dynamic energy vibrating through you. That same 8 hours will become much more easier and much more enjoyable. The more responsibility we take, the more joyful it becomes, because now we are no longer bound by someone telling us something. It is a responsibility we have taken, it is a decision we have taken to change the way we live life, to change the way we respond to things around you. Like earlier I had shared with you like how I was so selfish. If my house was clean, that I am okay with that. I am not bothered if the streets were dirty, I am not bothered about my neighbors or anybody else. That was my pre-monastic life, and that was my thought process before I met Swamiji and listened to his teachings. When I started applying his teachings to even a small thing like keeping the street clean, getting it clean, getting enough people to get it clean or doing it yourself, I found that it gave me the freedom to change the way I live. It's as simple as that. Life was so simple, and we make it complicated by blaming everybody around us for things that are looking ugly or not happening around us. Or if the road stinks, you blame the government, you blame the cleaners, you blame the sweepers. We cry saying we pay so much of taxes, but the country is so unclean. But if I had just picked up the broom or hired some people to get the whole place cleaned, then the place would have been a garden, a beautiful garden, instead of becoming a crib joint. When I realized that the freedom it gave me, I felt so joyful. Responsibility was no longer something, oh, more work to do, why can't someone else do, why do I have to do everything. That was no longer my cognition, because this was more of a suffering thought pattern, and I really wanted to get rid of the suffering thought pattern. And the moment I changed my cognition to a responsible thought pattern, the whole thing became more joyful, and I feel I need to do more and be more active and get more things done just for the joy of doing, not because I have to do it. Now there is my whole thought process has changed to, oh, I have to do it, to I love to do it. It is so much fun. Let us do more things. Life is so much fun. If you would like to hear directly from Swamiji more about responsibility, especially authentic responsibility, please check out the description box below, because I will give you a link to one of his more popular discourses about responsibility. Thank you. Hope to see you again. Nithyanandam.